Hey, this is Danny from Scare Talk. Before we get into all the horror greatness, I gotta let you know about Anchor. Anchor is the host site that we use to record our podcast. Anchor will upload your podcast to Apple and Spotify and many other listening platforms. Anchor is completely free, and you can download the app or go to the website, anchor.fm, and you can record straight on there. There's also some cool editing tools that you can use. Did I mention that it's free? Yeah, so if you want to make a podcast, Anchor is the way to go. Go check it out. Now, for the spooky stuff.
Welcome to Scare Talk, a horror movie podcast for horror fans. This podcast will cover horror movie reviews, ratings, and rankings. Now for your hosts, Danny and Joel.
Oh, yeah. This is Scare Talk. I am Danny, and I'm here with Jumbled Joel.
Hey guys, what's up? I'm jumbled today.
Yeah, you're jumbled.
Thoughts.
I'm jumbled with the timeline for the Texas Chainsaw Massacre franchise. It's a very jumbled timeline. We're going to get more jumbled with this episode.
Oh, yeah. We really are.
So, to review, we've had the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Mm-hmm. We've had the Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2, which is connected to the first one. Same timeline, I think.
Yeah, it's the same timeline.
Then we have the Texas Chainsaw Massacre 3, which is, from what I understand from the beginning,
I think it's a
narration.
Kind of, yeah.
No, it's not a prequel. It's a follow-up to the first one. Because it does have that narration at the beginning about how, this whole thing happened. How this whole thing went down and how certain characters, what happened to the certain characters from the first movie.
Didn't mention that, Sally died or something?
Yeah.
Was that the second one that they mentioned that?
I don't know. One of them mentions that she died. One of them mentions that she didn't. So they contradict each other. So that's where I'm like, okay, the second one is not in the third one's timeline. Okay. Yeah. So then we have Next Generation, which doesn't include 2 and 3 at all either. So that's a follow-up to the first one as well. So each sequel has been a follow-up to the first film.
Yeah.
So far, at that point. Then we get the remake. Then we get a prequel to the remake. Then we get Texas Chainsaw, which is a sequel to the first film.
Yeah.
Now we have
direct
Leatherface.
Sequel to the first film.
Yeah, direct sequel to the first film. Now we have Leatherface, 2017, which is a prequel to the original.
To the original, yep. So this is still in the same timeline as Texas Chainsaw 3D.
Technically it is, yeah. And in
Keep that in mind.
And in the same timeline as Texas Chainsaw 2 as well.
Yeah.
And any of the other sequels that are a follow-up to the first one.
Brain hurts. All right.
Yeah. So
this has a more jumbled timeline than Halloween.
Yeah, by far. So if that made any sense, let's get into...
It probably didn't.
Probably not. But in any case, we're going to talk about Leatherface from 2017.
Yes.
Joel, what do we got?
All right. So this one stars Stephen Dorff. He was in Cold Creek Manor, World Trade Center, 8 episodes of True Detective, and my personal favorite of his, Blade, character-wise. And then also Lily Taylor. She was in Eli, The Conjuring, and The Haunting. I wanted to stick with horror themes here for her. Then we've got Finn Jones. He's the Deputy Sorrells, who comes in like a half hour or so into the movie. He was in Iron Fist, the Marvel show. Game of Thrones. He was in like 20 episodes of that. And Wrong Turn 5, Bloodlines.
Oh, yeah.
This was written by Seth M. Sherwood.
Okay.
He wrote Hellfest.
Yeah.
A series called Light as a Feather. And London Has Fallen, which he was uncredited for.
Okay.
And it was directed by Alexandre Bustillo and Julian Maury, but they did the same exact movies, which were ABCs of Death 2. Segment was X is for Xylophone. The Deep House, which is that Netflix movie, I think that just came out recently.
Okay.
And Candisha. I don't know.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So, a teenage Leatherface escapes from a mental hospital with 3 other inmates, kidnapping a young nurse and taking her on a road trip from hell, while being pursued by a lawman out for revenge.
This is 1955, by the way, everyone.
We're in the 50s.
We're going back.
We're back.
We're
to the
back.
50s.
Oh,
All right.
man.
At least it tells us where we are in this one.
It kind of makes it more complicated, though, but yeah, it does.
All right. So, I really enjoyed this one. Overall, I thought this was way better than I thought it was going to be.
Oh, yeah.
I like this more than the beginning.
Really?
Story-wise. Yeah, I really do. It's way different from any of the other Texas Chainsaw films. This is like a road trip horror film.
Yeah.
It had some Devil's Rejects kind of vibes to it.
Yeah,
with some of the scenes.
That one girl reminded me of Sherry Moon Zombie quite a bit.
Yeah, definitely. And I like the misdirection. A lot of people hated that from what I saw. I loved that. I thought it threw me off when you find out who Leatherface is at the end of the film. And I liked it. I like that it wasn't so straightforward. Like, because there's the kid that escapes that you think, okay, that's Leatherface.
Yeah.
That's, you know, the way he looks, the way he acts. He kind of snaps and kills some people. So you're like, okay, he's Leatherface. But it's not him.
Yeah.
So
I had mixed feelings on that because on one hand, so with him, he had like the look of Leatherface.
Yeah.
But he didn't have the height of Leatherface. Like
No.
he was like, he had already hit his growth spurt. He wasn't going to get any taller than he already was. And he was pretty short.
Yeah.
So I did have a problem if they were going that route with him, that he was Leatherface, because Leatherface is like 6'5", at least. He's a big guy.
Yeah.
But so I didn't like if they were going that route with him. So when he gets, we're gonna spoil this because it's been 5 years. Like it's Leatherface.
Yeah.
If you've either seen it or you're never gonna watch it. So it's one of those movies at this point.
No. I take that back. If you have not seen it, go watch it. Stop this and go watch it. I think it's a very worthy sequel, prequel.
Oh, it is. I'm just
whatever.
saying for the 8th movie in the series. If you haven't seen Leatherface by now, like it's one that it's not on your radar.
It should be
to ever watch.
Get it on your radar if it's not on your radar. Fix your radar.
That being said, the other guy he seemed too nice.
Yeah.
I know this is a prequel, but he's way too nice.
Yeah.
He's still not the height of Leatherface.
Yeah.
And this is supposed to be the original, by the way. This is, as if we're going by that timeline. And he's just not big like Leatherface should be. And again, this is 20 years prior, so I guess anything can happen in 20 years. But it just, I don't know. Neither one of them felt like Leatherface to me.
Yeah.
And he was also, I mean, Leatherface in the original is not a smart person.
Yeah.
He's more like animalistic.
Yeah.
But this guy was, I don't know. I just didn't see him.
He's
he
too
was
normal.
way too smart. He's normal. He doesn't have the look. I don't know. It just I did like the misdirect because I didn't like him either as Leatherface, but I also didn't like this guy as Leatherface.
Yeah,
So I'm like,
that's fair. That's fair. I just like the misdirection in general. The kind of twist there. I like that they had a twist. Because the whole time you're watching it, you're like, okay, that's Leatherface, and it's not even a mystery. It's really not a mystery. You're not even thinking that anybody else would be Leatherface. So then when it happens, you're like, oh, okay, cool. But I do see what you're saying. Even the guy that they chose to take on that role, he's not really, he doesn't match Leatherface either.
I think he matches him less than the other guy.
Oh yeah, no, 100%. Yeah, he definitely does not match Leatherface at all. But I guess the idea is that he gets like broken down, which you do see him get broken down, kind of quickly at the end of the movie when his mom gets involved and gives him the chainsaw, and then you see then he can like completely changes after the guy who you think is Leatherface dies. I think his name is
Is it his
Bud.
mom or is it his because
his aunt? I think
because it's Verna.
Yeah, it's not his mom.
It's
his aunt. I think. Yeah.
Yeah, in this movie, she's 30 years old. It looks like at least maybe even 40 years old.
Yeah, she's older.
So we're gonna jump to 1974, where like another 20 years has passed. And then we're going to jump another 40 years on top of that. I don't know. The timeline, like if the timeline was bad enough with the last movie, this one kind of made it worse.
So what they decided with the last one, the Texas Chainsaw 3D and this one, they decided nobody cares about any of the movies except for the first one. And then maybe the remake.
Yeah.
But the first one is such a classic that they're like, okay, nobody cares about the other films, so let's just make movies based on that first one.
Yeah.
So this Leatherface, they don't care about anything else. They're just saying, okay, this is how he became Leatherface for the first film. Don't think past that. Because if you think past that, then you're getting way off the rails.
Nothing makes sense anymore.
Yeah.
Your whole life doesn't make sense anymore if you're thinking back on all the...
Yeah. That's kind of, I think, what Hollywood did. They're just like, nobody probably even knows about the other films. So we'll just go back to the original that everybody knows.
By the time you're up to Leatherface, you're just in it for the kills. That's all there is.
Yeah. If you're a fan of the franchise, it's really just for the kills at this point. Yeah. And and if they get people who aren't fans of the franchise, they're not going to know about the other ones. They're just going to know about the first one. So let's make a prequel for them. So there you go. That's the mentality I think they went into making this one. Yeah. So Stephen Dorff, he plays like the sheriff. I'm guessing he's the sheriff. His daughter is killed.
Yeah. I don't think he's a sheriff.
Yeah, I was wondering.
I think he was at one point. He was involved, but I think after his daughter got killed, he went off the force because I don't think he's even a part of it anymore.
Oh, is he?
They just know him because it's a small town.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I was thinking he was still the
I think
sheriff.
He's going rogue.
Yeah. He definitely goes rogue with his behavior. That's
sure. He definitely does. He fits in real well with the Sawyers.
Yes.
As far as like being a part of them, he should have been.
So his daughter is killed by the Sawyers, and so he's out for revenge after the Sawyer, Jediah, is that his name? Jediah? Anyways, Jed.
Yeah.
Was his
Jed.
Leatherface.
Well, yeah.
Gets out. The thing that is...
Was it him or was it Bud that killed his daughter?
It was Jed.
Because was it Jed?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
But they have different names in the mental hospital that they're in. They all got different names. So that was a way for the movie to kind of throw you off too. So they didn't
Jed is Jackson in the movie.
Yeah.
I think is what his name was.
Yeah. They didn't just name the characters the same because they needed to throw you off somehow.
Yeah.
So anyways, a bunch of kids escape, and so Stephen Dorff, his character, is like, cool, this is my chance to get my revenge. So he's like hunting these kids. And
these children, but
they're not really kids. They're basically
a couple
adults.
of them are up there in age.
Yeah.
But like Bud, he's like 12. Like let's be real here. He's young.
He acts like he's 12. I don't know if he's 12, but well, he acts like he's like 3. But anyways, so that whole like road trip thing where they're trying to escape and they're kind of on the run. There's a diner scene with those characters, and it's like a massacre. It was a cool scene.
It was like a Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Yeah, without a chainsaw.
But without the title. Yeah.
It was a cool scene. I like that
It
scene.
was, yeah.
Very Devil's Rejects feel to it. So there's a sex scene that is very, very unnecessary, we'll say.
There's a couple in this movie.
One of them
same people.
Very unnecessary with the dead body on the bed with them.
Oh, yeah.
Oh my gosh.
They wanted you to really they wanted us to know what type of creepy people these kids are.
Yeah. That was a little much there for me.
She better have been over 18 because she had some nudity in that scene.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
these kids
Come on, kids.
better have been over 18.
It's a pretty fast-paced film, I would say. Yeah. So I liked it. I thought it was cool. It was very different from the other ones. It's not just people breaking down somewhere and going into the Sawyer house and being carved up with a chainsaw. It's people on the run from the police, who one of them is Leatherface eventually, and kind of all the shenanigans that go on in between. And then when he is officially Leatherface, then he goes off, and the kill with Stephen Dorff when he kills him.
Oh yeah.
Oh my gosh. That is a crazy one. I mean, it's not like complicated or like creative. It's just wow. He just takes the chainsaw straight to his chest.
Yeah.
And just goes for it. Like, wow.
First and only chainsaw death in this movie.
Is that right?
It was
only that one?
Yeah, it was. Yeah, it wasn't. I mean, there was in the very beginning with that one guy, but he ended up not doing it because he couldn't kill him.
Right. Yeah,
But
they tried to give
as
him a chainsaw as his birthday gift when he's like 6 years old or something.
Yeah. So wait, was that the 1955 part, or was them breaking out the 1955 part? Because that was like a 10-year difference.
Yeah. No, I think when they broke out, it was like 10 years later. I think that's what it said.
So 1960. Okay.
Yeah.
So in just 9 years, he turns into Leatherface as we know him?
I guess.
All right.
Well, I don't know if he was 6. I'm just, throwing numbers
Oh,
out
yeah.
there.
Yeah, no, yeah. But yeah, it definitely, if 10 years has passed, then we are in like 1965 territory.
Yeah.
And when they break out. I'm still just trying to make sense of everything. But I know I probably shouldn't at this point, but I just can't help it.
I liked the end when he puts the face on, when he's like sewing the face on and we finally get to see him wearing someone else's face. I thought that looked pretty cool.
Yeah.
At the end, and he's officially Leatherface.
Yeah.
Because he has a leather face. So.
He does. I feel like how his face got messed up, it should have been more than just a ricochet bullet. Like, well, I guess not a ricochet, but just like a single bullet, like, did that to your jaw? Like, I don't.
Yeah.
All right. Unless, because it did go through the back windshield, so maybe part of the glass got in there too.
Yeah.
I don't know. It just felt like it should have been something more than just a bullet that did that to his face to quote unquote deform him.
Yeah. Yeah. That's when you kind of know, like, oh,
yeah,
he's Leatherface. Oh my gosh. Because Bud was already killed at that point.
Yeah.
So yeah, when Bud died, I'm like, what?
Yeah.
How is this going to work? Because it wasn't like he could have lived.
He was shot through
done.
the head.
Yeah, he was done.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I was a little confused for like 5 minutes.
Yeah.
So, what do you think? Do you prefer the like handicap man-child Leatherface, or did you like this Leatherface?
So, I kind of like this Leatherface just because this one doesn't seem so helpless.
Yeah.
Like, if this is where, if this was truly the origin, the beginnings of Leatherface, and this is who we got throughout the series,
Yeah.
that would be more terrifying to me because he's actually intelligent. Like, he's, well, more intelligent than the original Leatherface. So to have a semi or not intelligent or semi-intelligent Leatherface who's also has these animalistic like urges to kill, it definitely would add something more instead of having this basically man-child who's just going crazy and just killing people. I don't know. It adds a little bit more to it to me. If I could get behind him actually being Leatherface.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because I would. I don't know. I would like this type of a Leatherface more than what we originally got.
Yeah. I think so too. I think he could have been a scarier character if this is how it really started and this is what they did throughout the series.
Yeah.
And like this Leatherface, but then also the Leatherface that we have in the 2000s. Like, even though that he's kind of like a handicap, character, he's still menacing and scary and big and threatening,
Yeah.
So, I don't know what they were doing in the 80s and 90s with their Leatherface. I don't know what was happening there. I don't know what they were going
some
for.
people were on drugs the entire time. It's
Yeah.
the only thing I can cocaine was an easy drug to get to in the 80s. So
all right. So, some little fun facts. The Sawyer house that was in the 1974 original film was rebuilt for this one.
wow,
It's in this one, and it was rebuilt just for this film.
nice.
That's pretty cool.
That is a really nice. I've always loved that house. It's always been just so like big and just.
It's iconic.
Yeah, it really is.
Yeah, with the like clotheslines out in the front, and
Yeah,
just in the middle of nowhere in Texas. It's pretty iconic.
yeah.
All right, so this is Tobe Hooper's final film as a producer before his death.
He was involved in this.
I guess
Still?
so.
Wow.
Yeah,
All
he was a
right.
producer.
And you didn't see anything wrong with its timeline. All right.
Joel, the timeline. I've already explained this.
He's the creator of the franchise. Okay, I'm sure if anyone had an issue with it, it was probably him.
So he passed away on August 26, 2017. So
Oh wow.
same year.
Yeah. Did you even get to see the movie made?
Yeah, I don't know. This was the first Texas Chainsaw film that was not filmed in the U.S. This was shot in Bulgaria.
Okay.
For budgetary
random
reasons.
country to pick.
Okay. So this, all right. This doesn't make sense, but this is what IMDb tells me. Okay. So Lionsgate is, who made this film. They also made Texas Chainsaw 3D. Okay. So chronologically, this film takes place before the Texas Chainsaw Massacre from 1974 and is then followed by Texas Chainsaw 3D in the Lionsgate continuity of the series. So you're right. I guess they did consider Texas Chainsaw 3D when making this.
Yeah, because when I was going through, when I do my beginning of the episode, looking up the actors and stuff, Lily Taylor is Verna, and the only Verna that I knew was from the 2013 version, because I don't think Verna was ever a character in any of the other movies.
You're right.
So I was like, I have to you kind of have to assume that they're supposed to be somewhat connected.
Yeah.
Especially since this is a prequel to the first one, and the first one the 2013 is a sequel to the first one. Kind of have to assume that they're going to be somewhat connected, or at least try to connect in some way.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, you're right.
That's how I put those together. So that's why I was like, Verna was like 40 in this movie.
So she was 40 in the 60s.
So,
but she died in 2013. So she would have been like in her late 90s, maybe 100 or something.
I mean, I guess she could live to be that, people do all the time. But,
makes sense.
All right. I just don't see with their diet in particular. I just don't see any of them living past 50. I'm sorry.
She left the family. She
didn't have a choice. Everyone died.
She turned her life around.
Let's go with that one.
Yeah. She changed her diet. She
was like the most evil in the prequel, but let's go with that one. She was the one encouraging Jed to murder and saying how disappointed she was in him in the beginning of the movie when he wouldn't kill. She turned her life around. That's the type of character that would do that.
Oh, of course. So, wow, I can't believe that is a fact. That they actually took that into consideration. Which, it makes sense with having Verna in it. So,
yeah.
All right, whatever. So this actually premiered on DirecTV before having a limited theatrical run. Which makes sense to me because this is 2017. I don't remember this movie getting any sort of marketing or anything. And then it just kind of was out. And I was like, what? Hey, there's a Leatherface movie? What is that?
It costs money to market.
Yeah.
So you gotta really what was the budget on this thing?
Let me check.
I'm curious about that.
Budget for Leatherface. There is nothing on here for that.
Really?
Yeah. Worldwide gross was $1.5 million. Man, this movie is way better than that. Oh my gosh.
Whatever millions that it cost to make this, I'm sure quite a bit went to Stephen Dorff and Lily Taylor. But
man, that's really sad.
I mean, it was a limited release in theaters. I mean, 1.9's not horrible for a limited release. Because, I mean, limited, it's like you're basically taking away half of the theaters that you normally would for a short period of time.
That's crazy.
So, I mean, but marketing wise, yeah, this wasn't marketed like at all.
No, yeah. I didn't know it existed until like a year probably after it came out or something.
Yeah.
Stephen Dorff plays Sheriff Hal Hartman in this film, who is the father of Bert Hartman from Texas Chainsaw 3D.
They're connecting it.
What?
Wait, what? Who's Bert?
Bert Hartman.
Bert Hartman. I don't know who that is. Why doesn't that name...
Anyways, wow. They're really trying to connect. That wasn't even really a part of the movie, so...
You could have just connected it with Verna. That's the only connection you need.
Oh my gosh.
Why are you trying to add... What? Stop trying to complicate your already complicated timelines, guys.
All right, so by the time Lionsgate finally released this film, the studio had already lost the rights to the Texas Chainsaw Massacre film series due to having taken way too long to both greenlight a new installment and get it released to the public. Texas Chainsaw 3D.
It was only 4 years. Doesn't it take longer than that to lose your... I'm pretty sure it takes longer than that.
Hold on, I'm not done.
Okay,
Hold
sorry.
on. Texas Chainsaw 3D actually finished production in 2011, but the film didn't release for 2 years. So Lionsgate initially had the rights to make up to 6 films in the contract, but this... Hold on.
Was that the first of 6?
Hold on.
Texas 3D?
Hold on. So basically, they started production, or they finished production for the Texas Chainsaw 3D in 2011.
Yeah.
And this didn't come out until 2017. So their contract had basically expired at that point before it actually came out. Which is probably why they just called it Leatherface and did not include the Texas Chainsaw Massacre in it.
Yeah.
Which is, I mean, that's just my guess. I don't know. Doesn't say that here.
You're just making up facts.
I'm just
now.
making things up, yeah. I mean, I feel like some of these things are just made up, so.
They greenlit 6 movies?
Let me look at that again. Lionsgate initially had the rights to make up to 6 Texas Chainsaw Massacre films in the contract.
Wow, 6?
They had the rights for 6, which I guess they had 6 years.
You can't. No, that's ridiculous. You got to come up with a Texas Chainsaw movie one every year.
Up to 6. Okay.
Yeah, but I mean, let's face facts. They were gonna go as many as they possibly could.
Oh, yeah.
To make as much money.
Yep.
Wow. And you guys just took too long with this movie, and they were probably on like the cusp, like a year. If it had come out like a year before, they would have been fine.
So let's get even deeper into family ties here. All right.
Oh, right.
While it's not mentioned in the film itself or the credits, Ted's last name, as confirmed by the screenwriter, is Hardesty, making him the father of Sally and Franklin.
Sally. These screenwriters, man, they'll just say whatever.
It's like, oh my gosh, wow, so cool. Like, no,
just
you
messing
just
up
made that
timelines
up.
left and right.
You just made that up just to have some.
Yeah,
Man.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah. So there you go. That's Leatherface. I love this movie. I know that reading some of this stuff makes me like it a little less because how they actually were taking Texas Chainsaw 3D into consideration when filming this.
Yeah.
So that kind of makes me like it less, but I like the movie itself.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like it's well acted. I like the violence, the gore. I like the twist. Yeah, a lot of it I like.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, I mean it's better to me than how people feel about this movie. Like,
Yeah,
people
a lot of
hate
people don't
this
like
movie.
this. Yeah.
A lot of people, this is among, like, I don't know. I feel like people are, it's because the movie is relatively new. It's been out, it's been out for about 5 years now, but, with like social media and everything like that,
Yeah.
if 2 and 3 had come out like with social media days, I'm sure people would have torn those apart too.
Yeah.
It's just, I don't know. It's just because it's the newer one, the newest one until, this new one that just came out. So people are just going to tear it apart because it's Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and let's be honest, none of them are that good.
Well, I feel like what I see people say about this is like kind of like the idea that like that's not my Leatherface. You know? Like the Texas Chainsaw Massacre purists. You can't mess with their Leatherface, and so they're automatically not going to like it when you go in a different direction,
Yeah, and I mean, I get that to a certain extent because he definitely, in 9-10 years, is not going to be that Leatherface.
Yeah, yeah.
this person that they have for Leatherface in this movie,
Right.
So to a certain extent, I get it, but
Right.
you gotta move on. Like, it's, I get it, but that's just one aspect of this movie.
Right. So yeah, people will automatically shut it down just for that,
Yeah.
I feel like kind of the way that I've taken this whole series as we've gone through all these movies, I take them for just, they're all kind of their own thing, it feels like.
Yeah.
It feels like none of them are really connected very well. I feel like you just have to watch them for individual movies with Leatherface in it. It's you can't really take the timeline too seriously.
Yeah.
Especially with Texas Chainsaw 3D, which is one of the only ones that really tries to connect.
Yeah.
I know. They purposefully connect horribly.
Yeah.
So
maybe don't try to connect anymore. How about that?
Yeah.
Because when you try to connect it, it makes even less sense than if you didn't connect it in the first place.
Yeah. So I feel like that's just kind of the attitude that I've had going through all these is just, I'm going to watch a Leatherface movie and they're just all kind of one-offs.
Yeah.
That's kind of how you have to take it, which isn't a good thing, but that's just
It's
the
not.
best way to enjoy them, I think.
Yeah. That's actually exactly how I went into the next movie in our franchise.
All right.
Was through that. Was just like, I want a Texas Chainsaw Massacre movie. I want Leatherface and I want a chainsaw and I want blood and gore. So,
all right. Well, we will see.
Does the story have to make sense? No, it doesn't really have to make sense because it's a Netflix movie, first of all, and it's probably not going to. So,
all right. Well, we'll see if you got what you thought you were going to get.
Yeah, we'll see.
We'll see, because that's our next episode.
It is.
But before we end here, we need to rate this one.
Yes.
So, what do you think for Leatherface?
This one is getting a 79.
All right.
I think Texas Chainsaw 3D was a 78. I probably should have lowered that one just so I had a little bit more room to work with, because this is not a B or A movie for me.
Okay.
But it's almost a B.
All right.
So,
well, I'm going to throw it into the 80s. I'm going 81.
oh man,
I like this one. This is, when we do our franchise ranking, this is going to be in the top half of the ranking for sure. Mm-hmm. I enjoyed this. It was a pleasant surprise. I've seen it a couple of times and still enjoy it. So,
yeah.
So I'm a fan. All right. Let's see what this new one can bring to the table.
Yeah. Is it going to be an A, or we haven't had any A's yet? So Is it gonna be an A? Is it gonna be a B? Is it gonna be a C?
I don't think you can have an A for a Texas Chainsaw film.
Nah, yeah, you really can't.
I don't think that's possible.
Yeah.
But we'll see. We'll see where it lands in the mix of things here. So look out for that when that gets posted, and we will be ranking them all in a separate episode. So you can look for that as well. And then we can say goodbye to Leatherface.
Yep.
At least for now.
At least a couple years. I can't imagine they're going to be doing one until like at least 2024 or 25.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's it. This has been our episode on Leatherface.
Leatherface.
This has been Scare Talk.
Sleep tight.
Don't let Stephen Dorff bite.